Now this is going to be fun. It truly does feel great to realize we all are one. So we shall meditate. This meditation's rhyming verse describes a paradigm of us inside this universe, adrift in space and time. It's nice that we can simply start by recognizing how a check of every body part can help us be here now. We feel our bellies and our heads, and just become aware how arms and hands and feet and legs are feeling everywhere. Between and through them circulate our bloodstreams to refresh the oxygen that activates awareness in our flesh. And as we slowly breathe, we find that doing so can draw us into a more present mind to feel the moment raw. With every breath we take and leave, we clear our inner eyes and fully, lucidly perceive each second passing by. Our mindful, meditative selves grow out of living meat and help our bodies stay in health by finding what we need. So let's do that now. Let's explore and see what's to be found. Outside our bodies, there is more. Let's take a look around. Unless we're blind, we're free to see. Unless we're deaf, to hear. And realize we're utterly surrounded by what's here. This place surrounding us, here now, where we consider this, is just as present, anyhow, as our breathing is. Our breaths connect within the air, within the atmosphere. The envelope of sky we share is also part of here. We also share what rests beneath, our body's place of birth, from which came all who now here breathe, as children of the earth. Of course there's more than senses show around us near and far. The sky above, the earth below, there's more to where we are. To north and south, to west and east, the world goes on and on. The planet, every plant and beast, and we now breathe upon. Of all the earth, we barely know the surface we begrime upon the spinning rock below, adrift in space and time. Our calm and meditating minds can feel this easily. Imagination goes behind all things our eyes can see, to find, as further out we go, whichever way we face, to left, to right, above, below, the solar system, space. It's blacker than the night, of course, and bigger than the sky, and is hard to see because it was not made for eyes. It effortlessly overwhelms imagination. Still, and everywhere around, this realm extends and always will. Around us all, and everyone we've met or ever can, extends the system of the sun that dwarfs all realms of man. Out there, all human joy and strife and knowledge matter not. Out there, this fragile ball of life is just a pale blue dot. And there are other, bigger dots and countless asteroids. This earth is one among a lot around us, in the void. Yet all of them combined appear like specks of dust compared to one enormous, blazing sphere, the center that they share, 1,000 times as ponderous as all that circles it. It radiates, splendiferous and indiscriminate. It weighs 333 times, 1,000 times as much as Earth, which seems like mere debris, a tiny, circling smudge. There's hydrogen inside the sun that lets it shine so bright by burning up 4 million tons per second, fuse to light. This fusion forges helium and other specks of dust that constitute the medium from which grows life like us. But near the sun, its gamma rays and heat do not allow life smart enough to be amazed at what is true here now. And further out, it stays too cold for molecules to toy with games of entropy that mold the life that we enjoy. While outermost, in blackest night, drift frozen rocks so far, to them our splendid sphere of light looks like another star. We are lucky Earth is temperate, or life could not have spawned. This planet would stay desolate, and all of us unborn. As fully as we do depend on Earth that we live on, we also clearly understand we are children of the sun. And yet the sun, though all must spin around it, merely is a rare domain of light within a yawning black abyss. In outer space, surrounding us, lie distances too great for us to easily discuss or even contemplate. For space is mostly nothingness, around us, everywhere. The freezing dark is limitless in empty space out there. Of course, there is some gravity that massive things impart, and maybe some dark energy that pushes them apart. But nothing's there to hear, or see, or smell, or taste, or touch. And trying to imagine, we can think of nothing much. And still we feel, for what that's worth, beyond the seen and near, the vastness outside planet Earth that's real now and here. In meditation, we somehow expand our minds to try to feel the system we are now and here surrounded by. The moons and planets we can see, as far as we have found, are lifeless. Earth now seems to be the only game in town. Yet all these places we could go and cultivate and fill are merely specks in what we know remains much bigger still. The stars, these many tiny lights, each are a blazing sun, and circling them, caught in their might, are planets being spun. Yet humans cannot see that far. The pixels of our eyes are just too few, which is why stars look like they're equal-sized. Through telescopes, we understood. The stars all shine so bright that only monstrous distance could dilute them into night. These distances define the space that all stars occupy and make a single, real place that we're surrounded by. The stars that shine all night and day within or out of sight are what our home, the Milky Way, appears like from inside. Our Milky Way contains at least 100 billion suns. Through gravity, they all are pieced together into one. Around this place where we now feel what we are breathing in. These suns form one tremendous wheel with one tremendous spin. And all these suns are shining clear, enormous, and sublime. They all are real here where we're adrift in space and time. Unmoved by beings such as we, on earth our small enclave, the stars around us now will be the stars around our graves. Except for those which have gone through their hydrogen supply, and end as all things someday do, for even stars must die. And some, much bigger than our sun, burn brighter still and must explode one day, when they are done with making light and dust. These supernovas, as we call them, burst stupendously. Some can outshine the sum of all stars in the galaxy. With their magnetic fields unfurled, their yields annihilate or sterilize abundant worlds that life might populate. Yet all we breathe and eat and drink comes from these massive bombs. We're supernova dust that thinks about where it came from. And since the stars have made the clay that led to our birth, we're children of the Milky Way, as are the sun and earth. But supernovas are quite rare. 3 times per century does one of them explode somewhere within our galaxy. Yet many supernovas do each second detonate in all the galaxies whereto we now shall escalate, 1,000,000 times much further out than all the Milky Way. More galaxies are shining proud around us here today. These galaxies, each huge and wide, much like the one we're in, outnumber all the stars inside our home and origin. Around where we consider this, whichever way we face, drift billions of these galaxies, right now, right here, in space. We realize with utter awe and know beyond all doubt, beyond this world are trillions more that we could learn about. And almost all of them must be absurdly far away, in ultimate reality, beyond the Milky Way. From here, where our bodies stay, imagination climbs through further outer Milky Ways, adrift in space and time, and through the emptiness between, in almost all of space, where not a single star is seen, in almost every place. And meditation does allow our minds to feel it all, to feel the universe that now surrounds us as a whole. Despite all suns that intersperse this dark continuum, most places in this universe are total vacuum, and therefore atoms are quite rare. Yet trillions of them have condensed into the flesh we wear that draws this very breath. 2/3 of atoms in us are still hydrogen, which sprang into existence not in stars, but back in the Big Bang. For all the time, since time began, as entropy made space, each traveled an enormous span to meet here, face to face. Through vacuum and solar flame, they found their way somehow, and we, as that which they became, thus came to meet here now. Through all we breathe and drink and eat, they travel and endow with nutrients the living meat in which we meet here now. The atoms that we are traverse all space and time, which means we're children of the universe, and we have always been. The atoms in us met before, and they will meet again, compelled by universal law out in the there and then. One endless cosmic maelstrom, age-old and ever new, is where we all are coming from and where we're going to. The knowledge we are made of dust compels us to admit the universe is in us, just as we are within it. From here we may arise to see and claim as our own the secrets of reality just waiting to be known. And so we know the infinite is absolutely real. It's here, it's now, it's intimate, this vastness that we feel. Whatever else is true for us, we'll always know this rhyme. We'll always know we're made of dust, adrift in space and time. So, being dust, what lets us live? What raises us above the countless mindless primitive raw atoms we're made of? There is no life within this dust. Most specks remain unchanged from back in ancient stars. It must be how they are arranged. Each human we have ever seen, each beast, each bird, each tree, we all are atoms that have been arranged amazingly. All these arrangements, big and small, can be a source of mirth. In us, surrounded by them all, the greatest show on earth. There's more to learn in nature than is found in any book, and it appears more alien the closer that we look. Below the surfaces we see the skin and scales and bark. The cycles of biology are working in the dark. Right now, our lungs take oxygen out of the air we share. Our hearts and bloodstreams take it then and pump it everywhere. If we look closer, we can see our lungs to be a place where, in a dance of chemistry, our breath and blood embrace. We are built from many works of art, from organs that combine small tissues, each a special part with intricate design. Now each such tissue then contains innumerable cells, and here inside each cell again are tiny organelles. Within all forms of life we see, there's hidden vastly more, bewildering complexity that must inspire awe. The stars we see with telescopes are big and bright and far, but we find life with microscopes still more spectacular. In fact, there's more complexity in one small butterfly than we see in the galaxy out there beyond the sky. All living things we've ever seen are built from living cells. Each cell is like a small machine comprised of chemicals. In all our cells there's utterly infinitesimal molecular machinery. We are nanotechnical. Still zooming closer, we just find a multiplicity of ancient atoms that are kind of bouncing randomly. The static things we think we know are maps. The territory has constant and chaotic flow beneath the shapes we see. It's here right now, as close to us as anything can be. The movement of the specks of dust shapes our reality. The randomness in what they do we call their entropy. and its domain is wherein too our lives have come to be. It disassembles ordered things unless they can outgrow its endless, blind disordering and spread within its flow. It moves the dust and lets it start to join the game or dance of molecules that fall apart or last a while by chance. So hydrogen and oxygen join water, which can gain entropic warmth that makes it then play games of cloud and rain. Where entropy is less intense, such drops will crystallize and dance the longer, slower dance of snowflakes and of ice. Inside ourselves, we feel right now our living, breathing form to be, and to remain somehow, comparatively warm. Our atoms lost the stellar heat and left behind the cold of empty space. In warmth we meet. In warmth does life unfold. For heat destroys all forms and flows that chance may introduce, while cold does not select for those that work and reproduce. In warmth, the growing randomness of entropy can be just right for the profound finesse of biochemistry. Warmth, as in us, makes atoms stay a little restless, so they bump into each other's way, react, and let games grow. With carbon in particular, reactions are not rare, but the majority by far does not lead anywhere. Yet chemical reactions need mere moments to be done, and let the dust join games that lead to others further on. So given lots of time, mere chance must sometimes foreordain that specks of dust will start to dance along reaction chains. Around 4 billion years ago, on Earth, a warm, wet sphere, reaction chains began to grow the paths that led us here. In chains of random chemistry, the molecules that they unite can in their unity join bigger games to play. In some, the flow of molecules could circle and arrive in lasting cycles that grew tools to multiply and thrive. That's how the games that entropy forever plays have come to let emerge biology that all of us grew from. We are built from this, from cyclical and still ongoing games of atoms and of chemicals that do not know our names. The games take place in everything. Each breath we now here take has trillions of them happening. All cells in us partake. A cell is what we call games far too numerous to count, sustaining one shared reservoir that holds their whole amount. Here games that build each other spin a membrane to engulf them all. A greater game begins, a game that builds itself. Thou molecules can't learn or feel. The cells they joined into have learned to sense and eat and heal, as in us now they do. The games inside them match and fit each other. They create each other's necessary bits, and thus self-replicate. The largest, DNA, has space like memory to hold stored information. That's a place for new games to unfold. From codes that cells store in there stem large hosts of proteins that build us here to carry them. We call these codes our genes. Cells need to harvest energy to fight their slow decay by ever-present entropy, and thus keep death at bay. Some games can help the cells with this. Hence, some cells now include microbial photosynthesis that harvests light as food. Cells work so well that everywhere we look now they are found, on every surface, in the air deep within the ground. They are the winners that remain. The losers are all dead. All life in entropy's domain must die if it can't spread. These cells competing, growing rife for countless years on end, turned Earth into this ball of life to which we now attend. Once, single cells were all there was, but some of them became much bigger forms of life because they joined still greater games. In unity they found new ways to harvest energy and grow within the fertile space we here now call the sea. With size, impeding entropy becomes much more complex, but life invented, brilliantly, a game that does it: sex. Sex recombines and tests the genes that parents contribute, makes novel progeny, and screens resulting attributes. And genes that happen to succeed in making progeny will travel in them and proceed through time and entropy. In each of us, now breathing here, are genes that long have gone through many generations. We are built just to pass them on. And entropy remains at play. All life that it has bred, however complex, must obey its rule that life must spread. To do this, cells must organize and function as a whole, so they have nerves which harmonize their work on common goals. One basic goal is to explore new places, which is why some seaborn creatures left for more, for land and for the sky. And thus arose the multitude of Earth's whole biosphere that fills us with this gratitude we feel for living here. Yet now the human species shapes this world, and that transpires because a recent bunch of apes played cooking food on fires. This gave them much more energy, and they could use these gains to breed descendants such as we, with big and playful brains. With playful brains, we understand the games of entropy that played us into being and can play them consciously. With growing knowledge, we can trace all aspects of our lives to games that built the mental space wherein our knowledge thrives. At every scale, we see again so many things that draw upon each other. We might then think that's designed or law. And yet, no law or plan exists. Mere chaos has let on each scale some lucky games persist that others built upon. Now we join into greater games that may outlast us all, including tribes and towns and claims of states that rise and fall. Great games like science or the arts or cities or machines we hope will help their human parts like bodies help their genes. And in a sense, we all are one gigantic global game of interplaying games begun without a plan or aim. That's true, and yet one brain can't grasp it all. It's too immense. One can but try and fail and gasp at life's magnificence. So, human brains invented speech and writing to transport what brains would want to share and teach each other. Useful thoughts. By sharing thoughts, we operate like large, connected minds that ponder and accumulate the knowledge that we find. The thoughts we share help harmonize our work on common goals and join in ways to organize the knowledge we control. Our knowledge helps us build new games that let us drive and fly, and even let us ride on flames to pierce the waiting sky. We humans know there's so much more surrounding Earth, the stars. Our playful brains cannot ignore how unexplored those are. The games of entropy coerce us still. We must diffuse to roam this playground universe and put it all to use. One day, self-replicating ships will from this earth be hurled to leave on interstellar trips and spread from world to world. In but a short few million years, such ships can easily spread many daughter biospheres throughout the galaxy. And yet, no other life comes here. The sky we watch looks still. No life is spreading. Maybe we're the only life that will. But probably out there we'll meet life stranger than our own. Life made of something else than meat, by games as yet unknown. And all we'll find and understand can join in what will be still greater, cosmic, truly grand new games of entropy. One day all worlds our starships reach shall learn to live and care, for we have many games to teach to all the dust out there. Still rare among the stars that drift around us, we who live now hold this strange and special gift this planet has to give. Let's now unveil this gift and see it unify somehow the many games of entropy and make them one here now. The gift of life is incarnate in every one of us, who now here breathe and meditate between those worlds of dust. The deepening tranquility of meditative rest lets us behold the mystery with which we all are blessed. In all of us, a unity sustained by games that run in all their multiplicity makes out of many one. Within us now, the interplay of games in us gives rise to one uniting process they are part of and comprise. It's present simultaneously in both our hands and feet, and every cell within the 3 dimensions of our meat. This process keeps proceeding forth through all the time it thrives, in every moment in the 4th dimension of our lives. This process, ever happening until the day we die, propels us onward, traveling through moments passing by. The now we now experience is one ephemeral, brief point in lives that, in a sense, are 4-dimensional. Let's feel our lives stretch out upon our lifespans as they stream past moments we remember, on to future ones we dream. As simply as we breathe, we know this life we now here feel has travelled some short while ago through moments just as real. There was a moment we arrived at this place here somehow. Since we were there, and we survived, our lives include that now. The lives we lead have streamed right through this day, and so we can now trace along them backwards to the time today began. Our lives extend beyond today, beyond what's now and here. We feel them stretch through yesterday, last week, last month, last year. Where were we 7 years ago? What did we feel and do in all the moments we still know, and all the others, too? Our lives include these moments, and yet we are not confined to single moments. We extend and grow through time, entwined. Through every moment we have seen, a single process thrusts. The momentary selves we've been are all just one, just us. Relaxed with mindfulness and ease, we effortlessly can go past our oldest memories to where our lives began. Still tracing back our lives' escape through many days and rooms to when and where we first took shape within our mother's wombs. Before we could breathe separately, our lives have all begun, protected in a pregnancy, when two lives breathed as one. Now, even though these months may seem like where we came about, they are only where our mother's streams of life were branching out. The life we're feeling presently, our mothers felt themselves. Life flows in continuity. It's older than ourselves. Now, those of us with siblings know them too as branches where the gift of life that lets us grow branched out and grew from there. Though siblings must grow separately, we also understand they are branches of a single tree, like fingers on a hand. And here the journey need not end. We might as well bring in our mothers' mothers, cousins, and our somewhat further kin. And they in turn had parents too, and families, so they give us more distant cousins who live out there now, today. To know someone is family, that someone's one of us, may stir a sense of loyalty, connectedness, or trust. But families reach deep and wide. The ones we each are in have branches spreading far outside their ancient origin. Like us, they are branches, other tracks life grows across this earth, since ancestors of us had sex and gifted them with birth. We all have relatives out there that we have never known, who breathe and live their lives somewhere as real as our own. In 4 dimensions, we connect through lines of ancestry. The life within us streams, in fact, through branches of a tree. We each have lines of ancestry that reach back far, and they include both slaves and royalty, both predators and prey. Each human ancestry extends through many centuries, through long-forgotten, distant lands, on strange and ancient seas. In tracing back, each separate course eventually must converge in common ancestors of every one of us. The ancestors all humans share are why humanity is all related. We are their extended family. These ancient ties of kinship mean that everyone who lives, all humans we have ever seen, have been our relatives, descended from the same old apes who learned to cook and sing, and worked towards the cityscapes we're now inhabiting. The primates we're descended from were not so erudite, but they are why we all have come to live and walk upright. And they had other children too. We've grown apart, and thus they're different apes and primates who are relatives of us. We share with them a lineage to which we owe our use of tools, and one shared heritage with monkeys and with shrews. All that's within the family of 4-legged creatures who, despite their huge diversity, are all our cousins too. That's still not all. We're free to go still deeper if we wish. 400 million years ago, our ancestors were fish. It truly is astonishing how one unbroken line of life links us with everything out there that has a spine. Still older ancestors, like worms and squishy things in shells, connect us with life's oldest forms, confined to single cells. We breathe as all of them have breathed, since ancient cells back then invented, savored, and bequeathed the use of oxygen. Our common DNA confirms the common ancestries of all of life on Earth, from germs to mushrooms, bugs, and trees. Our tree of life finds root in when at some primordial spot the first thing that did live began from something that did not. That's where reaction chains once curled themselves in cycles, so the root of life could grace this world 4 billion years ago. Since then, its offshoots never ceased to spread and branch. They won this planet, every plant and beast, and we now breathe upon. Life branched and found a wealth of ways to spread throughout this world that now our meditative gaze reveals to us unfurled. All life is one big family, comprised of everyone, 4 billion years of history, of species come and gone. So when we meet, we're pretty much just parts of one big form, like branches of a tree that touch each other in a storm. In 4 dimensions, life is one forever branching force, small parts of which have now begun to understand its course. The present seems to separate life's branches like a knife. Beyond it, we who meditate here now are all one life. This life that breathes in us just leads far beyond the small lives led by every one of us. Let's try and feel it all. Life's countless branches can be found within the boundless seas, upon and deep within the ground, and flying on the breeze. What lives in them is life itself. All plants, all beasts, all swarms of bugs are part of life's great wealth of evanescent forms. Whatever living things may do, they all need life to lend its ancient, massive strength unto each talon, claw, and hand. Whatever mouths and snouts and beaks of living things discuss, it's all the same old life that speaks through every one of us. From all our eyes, one life looks out at all the games it plays. On all our feet, life walks about on paths through time and space. With all our leaves, life drinks the sun, producing nutrients. With all our mouths, it moves them on to their recipients. So what it means to be alive is being part of this, of life itself, that will survive ourselves and live no less. This meditation may reveal to us now breathing here a sense of awe in which we feel we are this biosphere. Ourselves and all the lives we meet, in friendship or in strife, are parts of something more complete that's us, as one, as life. Since we are life, all lives we've known are parts of us, and thus, if we are one, we're all alone. There's only one of us. To ever meet another one, we'll need to journey long. This planet Earth, where we've begun, is not where we belong. Earth gave all life its place of birth, but it's not built to last. Of all the time life gets on Earth, most has already passed. In just another billion years, the sun that rules our sky grows bright, Earth's water disappears, and all life here will die. And that means us. we are not distinct from what our growing star will boil to death and force extinct, unless life spreads out far. In having felt the family through which we all connect, we know that life is certainly a thing we must protect. As each of us is one more face of life behind us all, its need to travel out through space is truly personal. Life must keep sprouting interlinked new branches and disperse from world to world, or go extinct from all this universe. Just like our ancestors who built the world we know today, we'll have the glory or the guilt of what we leave to stay. We may destroy ourselves and doom the earth there where we were born to merely be a dreadful tomb with no one left to mourn. Or rise to meet infinity as life forms that succeed ourselves pervade the galaxy with earth as their first seed. And if we help life spread and last, its many future forms will know us as their distant past, like apes and fish and worms. So many future aeons hence, beneath an alien sun, they might remember Earth as lands of legend, long since gone. How will they see their ancestry? What shall it mean to stem from us and hold the legacy and gifts we give to them? Whichever paths they choose to go, if ever they discuss the gift of life in them, they'll know they each are one of us. Surrounded by infinity, we're here adrift in space, and simply breathing easily inside this present place. We calmly breathe, recalling we have come here from afar and grown towards humanity from dust specks that we are. This place is where we've come to sense our shared humanity within a shared experience of deep serenity. We feel this present breath right now that's evidence of all that had to happen to allow these chests to rise and fall. We're dust that's almost always been adrift and purposeless, until in us it could begin to meditate like this. Each breath of air we take gives thrust to tiny gains that drive the process in each one of us that renders us alive. Whatever journey brought us here is over. We arrive. We feel we're here and now, and we're immersed in all of life. The sprawling mess of life itself grows everywhere around, forever branching in a wealth of forms and smells and sounds. From out of all this planet's life, our species now has grown so powerful, we're truly rife to call this world our own. We humans differ from the rest of Earth's great wealth of beasts, as all of us here now attest, by breathing in such peace. We humans here can feel secure. That's quite a special right. Most forms of life cannot be sure they will survive tonight. The calmness of this very breath right now is evidence. We need not fear a sudden death at one another's hands. We humans built this place of peace from nature's sprawling mess, since we can shape the world with ease that only we possess. To north and south, to west and east, we made this world our home, more thoroughly than any beast that we allow to roam. We are so different from the rest of nature as a whole. Our ancestors thought we possessed some special spark, some soul. Although we're made of only dust, there is one oddity, a guidance known to only just our human family. This thing that makes humanity unique and radical grew in our own shared ancestry in ancient Africa. We started as a kind of ape, upright and throwing stones, with special voices fit to shape the songs we would intone. We did not look like we would prove a worthy enemy for lions and for saber-tooths who ruled that territory. The fights in which we were involved we could not win without a social instinct we evolved to help each other out. Although our kind was never great in number, strength, or speed, our learning to collaborate would help us to succeed. A hail of many stones would get a lion to turn back. Collective shouts could voice a threat a single voice would lack. While many beasts and certain plants do act collectively, we humans learned what they still can't, to do so flexibly. We learned to judge and to decide who we'd be working with, who feels like they are on our side, who gets what we can give. We are bred to sense this. Those who trust too little or too much were outcompeted in our past. We had to learn to judge. We are kinder than the chimpanzees, more generous, more brave, since human beings long have squeezed each other to behave. This helped us fight as stronger teams and hunt effectively. Since teamwork shaped us, now it seems we do it naturally. We grew to feel within our breast an urge to be worth trust, be good to those who know us best, earn trust that's true and just. It is an urge to be found good by those we find the same, be allies that together should pursue a common aim. This leads to bonds so deep and good, they hold deep joy therein, and sisterhood and brotherhood beyond our next of kin. The strength this gives us is absurd. No word is great enough, but lacking some more fitting word, we'll simply call it love. Between us here there's some of it, inherent interest, in helping out at least a bit with whom we coexist. So if we like, we can allow ourselves to try and feel this force between us here and now. It's old and very real. To love each other is our niche. This makes humanity the only part of nature which must strive for harmony. Love comes with curiosity for one another, so we get to know us thoroughly and let each other know. This soon meant more than just to find who'll help us and who won't. We noticed someone else's mind can know things that we don't. And learning this, we then could choose to teach each other rules that helped us to survive, like use of fire, speech, and tools. The water bag, the flintstone scrape, the spear, the scary drum, gave power to those ancient apes we're all descended from. They loved their children, as we must, and passed their knowledge on. We all hold knowledge given us by ancestors long gone. Such knowledge as, however, more developed teamwork must be built on rules we now call law, and promises, and trust. Our human wish to be a part of teams, to thus be bound, is central to us, like the hearts that pump our blood around. Because we're bred to want to care, it can be hard to know this life is neither just nor fair until we make it so. There is no care for what we're worth, except the care we take. There is no justice on this earth, except the one we make. We are the only animals who have, in recent times, invented justice, criminals, and judgments for their crimes. While nature's law rules everyone with bloody teeth and claws, by now our species has begun to write more careful laws. We tried out laws for centuries, and most of what we tried just led to dreadful tyrannies and war and genocide. We are mammals, bred as murderers, but we're inventing peace, the only predator on earth whose fights begin to cease. Upon foundations shared with apes, we build our own new way that still continues to be shaped by lives like ours today. Unprecedented as we are, were great mistakes we made. And still we're failing. Yet so far, some groundwork has been laid. From instincts driving us to beat competitors we face, we've built a world where we compete within the marketplace. We've found that when we give and take, agreements we compose relying on each other make us draw each other close. Most things around us now were made by strangers and for sale. Again, it's teamwork when we trade, at even greater scale. Our drive to work together leads from families and tribes, through cities, nation-states, and creeds, to global human rights. The trust that lets us breathe in peace within this place today was built for countless centuries. It is the human way. How many labored to create this trust, and how it grows from ways we can collaborate, no other species knows. We still have much to figure out. We will make more mistakes until we've learned to bring about the form our purpose takes. While many species' history is finished, lost and gone, the story of humanity has only just begun. We're growing ever better at our self-appointed task of answering the questions that no other species asks. The love that made us human and gave us our peace and wealth does let us know each other and thus also know ourselves. We've learned all forms of life to share the same vitality, but only humans seem to care for life's totality. Of all the beasts, the humankind alone can know that we are part of something big, born blind, that now begins to see. This means we have a special fate. It's ours alone because we do things such as meditate. No other species does. The life that made us may employ our ever-growing skill to fill the stars with life and joy. No other species will. We'll have those species right along and spread them far and wide. They're family and they belong on life's, on our side. While we'll teach games of entropy to worlds we're flying to, spread life throughout the galaxy, that's not all we will do. We few who grasp life as a whole, its other forms can't see, have therefore got unique and sole responsibility. We will respond accordingly, with what makes us unique, the love that guides humanity, of which this sermon speaks. The gift we give to future earths must necessarily include the love in us that births our shared humanity. Along with life, we'll spread the source of humankind's great might, this feeling in us that's the force that helps us to unite. There is a union to be found more deep than even love, but love helps find our way around. It helps look close enough. The same dust played the same old games, and love led us to care, to look beyond our separate names and see ourselves in there. To see that we are much the same is seeing truthfully, and love goes on to help us aim for who we ought to be. This fact was meant by all who've said that love is like a light that guides us on our way ahead. They all were simply right. For love alone can help us see that in each other's mind there's not just similarity. We're of a single kind. We see we all are made of dust and plagued by entropy, and there is only one of us, just one humanity. Within ourselves, right here and now, with all that looms above, we may wholeheartedly allow ourselves to feel this love. The love that guides humanity is what here now reveals this special kind of unity no other creature feels. The love that guides humanity comes here and now more true when we express it truthfully in what we choose to do. The love that guides humanity is not a place to stay, and there's no way to make it be. Love is itself the way. The love that guides humanity can be the way ahead, the way towards the mystery of where we will be led. We are led through this experience by rhyming poetry. It's time we get a real sense how such a thing can be. How games of words our voices play and thoughts that they disclose unite us in a novel way no other species knows. Life built on random games to shape all species out of dust, but only one strange kind of ape now says so, and that's us. Of course, all beasts and birds can call or gesture to convey some signal they would share with all, something they have to say. We all have heard excited sounds in flocks and packs and herds, but strangely we have never found real grammar in their words. We've heard most songs most birds can sing, most calls of animals, and all are only signaling. They're not true languages. The air we humans ventilate, we shape in funny ways. Our human grammar complicates the words our voices raise. It could be argued whales can send each other thoughts much as we do, but that's an argument no other species has. To see how speech is marvelous, we need just give it space to think and meditate on this, on words our voices raise. One sound before another sound holds meaning differently from them the other way around. See to is not to see. Use for this is not use this for. And it's not for this use, or this use for, and that's just 4 terms these 3 words produce. Per word, the terms it will permit grow exponentially. They are literally infinite, combinatorically. Words strung together can make sense, confuse us or be fun in narratives and arguments and sermons like this one. With words describing words themselves, like grammar, joke, and true, we make them useful for ourselves and get what they can do. And even silent gestures meant to say what words could say are functionally equivalent to words our voices raise. Our loving curiosity for one another is fulfilled by our ability to speak our minds like this. Of course, our minds are huge and rich. Our lips can only reach few words per second, limits which constrain what's voiced in speech. We must compress reality when we communicate. Words simplify complexity, they just approximate. This makes our words transmissible and makes us pay a cost. Short words make unavoidable that subtleties get lost. At best, words lose less subtlety, so they're diverging less from true observed reality, and that is truthfulness. The exponential choices of grammatical words give more meaning cent per word, enough to be informative. Compressed words need less space in minds than full experience, so they are more easily combined and built on to make sense. These 7 words make up a line. These 4 another one. And once 4 lines like this combine, one stanza has been spun. These stanzas all have one design. It's strict and classical. Its rhyme and meter give each line a groove that's musical. The words we speak have melody and an unrivaled choice of musical variety in songs we also voice. Most who can speak can voice a strong and bright melodic phrase to pitch what all of us call song. In words our voices raise. One word, like song, for separate acts makes them comparable and can outlast the actual facts, since words are durable. This makes words quite dissimilar from things they name and mean. Our word for that is that they are ideas, things unseen. From words that we could speak as names for real things we see, arose more abstract meta games and lots of novelty. Ideas that were practical, like 1 and 2 and 3, made human lives more tractable and furthered inquiry. Ideas met, and some could take each other's aspects on. Their combination sometimes makes a new, more complex one. Thus, measuring the land we own became geometry, and trading crops this land had grown became economy. A good idea can improve our lives entirely. A bad one can obscure the truth and cause catastrophe. Entire lives have gone to waste in pointless wordplay schemes when too much value had been placed in search of hopeless dreams. Ideas shape our futures, thus they're very powerful. For them to not make tools of us, they must be our tools. But always An idea shared creates relations of shared understanding, thinking aired with some degree of love. With words, we can resolve disputes, and where that fails, a judge who hears the case, or law statutes, use language just as much. Our words are always to invite each other into games, relationships, however slight. These sermons are the same. But language not only involves the words our voices raise, it interacts and co-evolves with thoughts in mental space. This helps us understand ourselves. Like we make words for words, we make new thoughts on thoughts themselves and learn how thinking works. So reason and philosophies have found themselves in place within the strange psychologies behind each voice we raise. Our ancestors built this know-how, learned incrementally to know themselves like us here now, and reason rationally. The better they could understand what needed to be done, the more they joined their many hands and brains to work as one. All wins our ancestors achieved were times when they most talked. Their worst mistakes were ill-conceived when talking had been blocked. We owe such massive gratitude for all the work they did. Our words grew with their aptitude as evidence of it. We honor what they have imbued us with beyond their days by paying forward, and include the voices children raise. By teaching kids our languages, we're giving them the keys, deciphering the valuables in schools and libraries. We hope the kids we teach and lead, through words our voices raise, will grow to match and supersede the teammates they'll replace. Team linkages are languages. When work we share today needs language for new purposes, new words provide the way. Since words at best approximate experience and truth, the truthfulness they generate improves as words improve. Our ancestors could not explain so much about this world. What makes the sun shine? What makes rain? They lacked more truthful words. Compared to us, they seem like fools, but they were smart to choose to build the tools that built the tools that built the tools we use. Since they have passed their knowledge on, it grew and grew and grew, a treasure we here now have won and keep on adding to. Along the stream of centuries, our growing knowledge formed a lineage of societies increasingly informed. Each new discussion overlaid what others had begun, continued them, and thereby made all their discussions one. In places of philosophy, in colleges and guilds, in schools of craft and industry, discussion builds and builds. Across all voices humans share, one great discussion seeks for good ideas that won't care whose voice it is that speaks. We joined this great discussion when we learned our words as kids. Until our voice grows still again, we will be part of it. And part of how we all converse attempts to understand and to reflect the universe as truly as we can. That's how we learned how we appear as this humanity within the vastness that is here from out of entropy. By understanding more, we get new ways we can discuss, like writing, printing, internet, connect each one of us. Comparing our ideas more, we find that some are wrong. Like heavens we can now explore where angels don't belong. The best ideas that survive each other being known comprise for everyone alive the greatest wealth we own. To see all this as one great whole allows us to discern how all our voices play some role in something vast that learns. As that increasingly employs our words for what it seeks, by now we give machines a voice. Through them more stardust speaks. Through ever more evolving speech, we gain perspective as we learn of places we can reach no other species has. Here now, around us, everywhere, are lifeless, wordless worlds, and we prepare to travel there and teach them life and words. The galaxy around us, not mere heaven, is our prize. We aren't fallen angels, but we're apes who learn to rise. Our rise to meet this universe is young. We still have much to learn together, to converse, approaching truth as such. In this, the more our speech is free, the better it helps solve the problems that humanity attacks as we evolve. Of course, there's danger in that too. Free speech brings to the fore what speakers are contrary to. This may include the law. All good ideas might be friends, but some are now opposed. And we are still beasts, where violence is still sometimes too close. In silence there is safety. It hides us in some ways. So there is always bravery in words our voices raise. For silence to be meaningful, it has to be a choice, to consciously not use the tool that is the human voice. Let's not be silent out of fear, or habit, or mistake. Let's try now. There's been silence here that we are allowed to break. Let's raise our voice together now. Let's all within this place now speak and play a game out loud of words our voices raise. We are dust that's played by entropy. We are life adrift in space, with love within humanity and words our voices raise. Of all the reasons to rejoice these sermons paraphrase, we are reminded by the voice and words we all now raise. To speak together is to say that we're a team that plays a game as one interplay of words our voices raise. With that, this sermon culminates. Our knowledge of it stays, as each of us appreciates the words our voices raise,
raise,